What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Brennan, and I'm BManX45, and today we're coming at you with another video. We have Volume 2 of the Fandom Forum, my new series that I'm doing. I'm trying to do it at least every 2 weeks, maybe once a week. We'll see how things go, where we just talk about things that we are interested in on the channel, things that we're looking forward to, and just the state of our certain fan favorite things. And we did the Ultimate Cup for Digimon TCG last time. This time we're going to be talking about one of my favorite properties of all time, which is Star Wars. I am a big Star Wars fan, not a mega fan. I don't know things like the distance involved in a parsec and stuff like that versus the fact that it's not actually a measurement of time. I don't know all that stuff. There are way more mega fans out there than me that have read a lot of more of the books. I mean, I've read several of the book series. The Hand of Thrawn trilogy is one of the sets I have read, and the Swarm Wars I've read, which was a decent one. So I do have some love for the book series. I've played a lot of the games. I have a deep love for Knights of the Old Republic and a deep love for the original movies as well as the prequels. I grew up during the prequels, so I very much enjoyed the prequels, episode 1, 2, and 3, more so than I'd say people who are older than me. But I think they still enjoyed the prequels. And of course, I saw the original trilogy. The first movie I actually saw was Return of the Jedi. So I saw the ending before I got to see A New Hope or The Empire Strikes Back. So I have a special place for Return of the Jedi, which is cool because this is the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi this year. And we're seeing some cool stuff come out of like Legion, not so much X-Wing. But I still want a Rancor. So I'm gonna, every video, it's going to be like, all I want is a Rancor. Anyways, especially since Boba gets a Rancor. But I digress. So we're just going to talk about the state of Star Wars and, how I feel about the state of Star Wars. I went and saw all the new sequel trilogy movies. I really liked Force Awakens when it came out. It's been ruined for me by The Last Jedi and by The Rise of Skywalker, which I felt was a disconjointed mess. I didn't enjoy them. Like, I watched them in theaters and I enjoyed the special effects and stuff like that, but I'm a very objective person. I like to think about what I learned. I want to sit down and I want to go over what I learned and see what I learned from the story because I'm a writer myself. And when I went through The Last Jedi, after I watched it, and I went, okay, what did I learn from this? What changed? What was new? I didn't really learn anything from that movie. And then everything that they did any bits of details they did put in The Last Jedi were completely just knocked away by The Rise of Skywalker. Like I said, it was a disconjointed mess. The writers weren't talking. It wasn't a trilogy. It was just 3 separate movies to me. And that is not the way you create a Star Wars trilogy. Not the way you can make any kind of trilogy. Like, you wouldn't do that in any other movie, not just Star Wars, and any other kind of trilogy-based sequel movie. So I very much did not enjoy the last 2 movies. I saw Solo in theaters. I know a lot of people boycotted Solo because of how they felt about The Last Jedi. I didn't. I saw Solo. I enjoyed Solo for the most part. It wasn't a great movie. It was an okay movie. I don't think that it bombed solely because of it. I believe it bombed a bit because of The Last Jedi. I believe it was a fine entry. There was a few details that I didn't really like. I liked how he met Chewie. That felt natural and stuff like that. I enjoyed I enjoyed Aaron Albright as Han Solo. I think he did a fine job, and same thing with Donald Glover for Lando. I think he did a fine job. I even liked Woody Harrelson's character, even though I was like, Woody Harrelson in a Star Wars movie? That seems kind of weird. But I think it was a fine movie. I hated L3, but they shot her in the mouth. So, I mean, like, they're like, this droid is going to be our social, political, commentary mouthpiece. And then they shoot it in the face. So, I mean, they did their own job for me. I mean, It's just like, we're going to preach about droid rights, and then we're going to shoot her in the face. I'm like, okay, well, you're kind of just proving our own point for us, but Rogue One. I really enjoyed Rogue One. I thought that was a really great movie. I know people say that they think Cassian Andor and Jyn Erso are like kind of like dollar store versions of Kyle Katarn and Jan Ors. I haven't played the Kyle Katarn game that much, and I've never read a lot of the books with them, so I don't necessarily know, so I can't make that comparison. But I enjoyed Rogue One. And then, of course, we got The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, and I loved The Mandalorian. It felt like the first two seasons felt like, Star Wars again. The return of Luke Skywalker was really big, and I was so excited for it. And I was happy that everyone else was excited for it. I enjoyed the Book of Boba Fett, but there was a lot of stuff that I felt like didn't need to be in there. And the fact that they had to shoehorn in Mando season 2.5, I didn't feel like was a good point. I did not like that Grogu went back to Din. I think that completely wrecks the end of Mandalorian season 2 when Luke takes him away and there's that big emotional payoff. I feel like that's just bad storytelling in regards for marketing, because like, we need Grogu to carry Mandalorian season 3. No, you don't. He didn't carry Mandalorian season 3 at all. In fact, he just made it annoying. If we had a Grogu-less Mando season 3, I think it would have been a lot better. Like, he got knighted for no freaking reason. There's just dumb writing. It's just dumb writing. It's just not making any sense. There was some cool points with Grogu in season 3, but they were all really unnecessary. He could have just not been there. I don't think the marketing would have suffered. I think the marketing would have been fine with all these new additions to Mandalorian characters that you're throwing in. New armors, new paint schemes and stuff like that would have been really cool. I enjoyed the season mostly. I don't know how I feel about all the like Din kind of giving up the Darksaber, but I really, at the same time, I also feel like it's something he never wanted. Like, he never wanted that conflict. He never wanted that responsibility. I still feel like he might get it though. I feel like, this is too early to say like, oh, he just gave everything to Bo-Katan and she's the boss now. Well, I mean, she's failed before, right? And if anything's true about Bo-Katan, is she's always more of a right-hand gal, right? Like, that's who she was. She was not the queen of Mandalore. It was her sister. She was not the leader of Death Watch. It was Vizsla. So she's always been, and even like to Sabine, like when Sabine had the Darksaber, Sabine gave her the Darksaber because Sabine felt ashamed for her role in the creation of the machine that could basically use Mandalorian's armor against them. So she's never really played the boss. She's always been second fiddle. And I feel like that might be a place for her. I feel like maybe she's going to have some big thing that she fails at, and Din would kind of come in and basically save the day, because he's kind of the what's the word for it? He's the hero that you don't want, but what you need. That whole thing. He's the reluctant hero. He always will do what's right for his people, but it's not necessarily what he wants out for his own life, right? So he's the reluctant leader. And I think that that's something that we're going to maybe see in the future. I feel like that could be a possibility. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, tell me what you think. I hope things get better for The Mandalorian, because it was such a great show, and season 3 was just really unbalanced. I'm hoping Ahsoka's going to be good too. I'm really excited for Ahsoka. I really like Dave Filoni's stuff. I was big into the Clone Wars. I really enjoyed the Clone Wars. I really enjoyed all the seasons, and I'm enjoying the Bad Batch. I think they're really great shows. I enjoy the character of Omega. I know we're kind of getting tired of this trope of like giving the main characters like a kid to look after. I think Omega is growing decently as a character and could end up being like a really cool bounty hunter in the future or something like that, which would be cool to see her like interact with Boba in the future. And I'm hoping we get more Boba Fett. Like, I really love Boba Fett. I'm hoping we get more of him. I hope we do. I hope we get more Obi-Wan too, because I really like, some of my favorite characters are Obi-Wan Kenobi and Boba Fett. and I think we could have some really cool stuff in the future. And I'm hoping that they do it. I did not like the Obi-Wan series. I think it did a disservice to the character, a disservice to the entire story of Star Wars. I think that it was just like it wasn't good enough to justify it. That's the thing. You can do anything you want as long as it's good enough to justify. If it's good enough to justify you changing canon or meddling with canon or making some points seem, irrelevant, then you can justify it. But it has to be on a level that's like, oh, that was so good, I'll watch it again and again and again. Because if it's not, you're just ruining something that was already really good for the sake of potentially making more money, but I don't think they have made a lot of money on this. So it just seems like a waste because you just cheapen everything as a whole. And that's one of the biggest things with Star Wars right now. I feel like a lot of things have been cheapened as a whole due to additions that were outright or just flat out bad, but nothing great. I mean, like The Mandalorian Season 2 had some really good points to it, almost to the point of great. Andor, I feel like, is a fine series. I don't have any problems with it. I know there's some things people like bricks and stuff like that, and I'm like, you know what, that's your personal preference. If you feel like, yeah, maybe it looks out of place, but I mean, it's a Disney Plus series. Yeah, so I don't think anything has we haven't got to the level of the original series in a long time, but I don't think we've even touched on the level of the prequel series. I think the prequel seasons have a lot of things that people were criticized for, but when you look back at them, they're really solid movies. They tell a really solid story. So they have their own level of excellence. Maybe it's not the same for most people as the original trilogy, but they have that level of excellence. And I don't think we've touched that in a long time. Like, let's forget about the level of excellence everyone puts on the original series, because like right now, that's unattainable. Like, we'll just say that right out flat. That's unattainable for us right now. Let's try to like at least charter a path to the level of excellence that we saw in the prequel trilogy, because then you're on your way. You get there, and then you just start, slowly moving up. I feel like that is as a goal, it should be the main focus of the Lucasfilm Story Group, because right now their projects are bombing. The High Republic doesn't look good. Like, I don't have any interest in reading it. I'm picking up old Star Wars books, like Legends books. I'm picking up like zombie stormtroopers because that seems cool to me. I'm picking up the reprint covers of like the Darth Bane series, the Hand of Thrawn series. The Thrawn stuff is great because Timothy Zahn is just a genius, and Thrawn is one of the best alien characters to ever be introduced to the Star Wars series. It's such a well rounded character, and I just think it is he's just an amazing character. He's one of my favorite Star Wars villains. Would have to be Thrawn, and of course Darth Vader, because it's Darth Vader. But that's how I feel about Star Wars. I feel like I'm interested to see what happens, but I feel like they really need to make some changes. I'm hoping Ahsoka is a good series that is not just a ripoff of the Hand of Thrawn trilogy. Like, I hope that that's not. A lot of people seem to think that they're just gonna like do their Ahsoka version of the Hand of Thrawn instead of creating a new story. Like, I would love to see the Hand of Thrawn. I would love to see Mara Jade, because I think she is one of the greatest Star Wars female characters. And right now, the last thing I want them to do is do a cheesy ripoff of a great book series. A book series that was so good that Disney couldn't even keep its character in Legends. They had to bring Thrawn because they knew he was such a good addition to the villain pool. So, I mean, it just makes sense, right? Like, don't rip it off, please. Just makes up an Ahsoka story that is use Thrawn, but use him in a way that you're not just taking away from Timothy Zahn's original story just to inflate egos and stuff like that. And that's something I really feel like they do. They're just patting themselves on the back and saying, oh, we did a really great job taking from other people that already did stuff that we now call non-canon, and creating our own, half mess that doesn't make sense because we only took, certain parts of their story and then combine them with our story, and now we've got like a jigsaw puzzle that doesn't fit together. So I definitely think that, and I definitely think they need to get Star Wars fans writing. Like Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, they're Star Wars fans. You can tell it, right? And other projects, not so much. Like I don't know about Skeleton Crew. I haven't really looked into it. I'm hoping it'll be good. Visions was fun. It's non-canon, but it was fun. Visions Season 2 and Tales of the Jedi seemed like really fun stuff. So that was really great. But they're not canon, so they don't really impact the story, whereas the other stuff does. So Skeleton Crew, I'm looking forward to. The Acolyte, I have no idea if that's even going to be made. And it doesn't seem like anyone knows anything about Star Wars on that production. I mean, just the fact that it's Celebration, they got one actor was like, yeah, the great thing about Star Wars is that there's no good or bad. It's just all dependent. And it's like, no. There's good or bad. Yeah, there's redemption, but there's good or bad. So, I mean, like, you can always be redeemed if you want it. If you really want it. Like, that's the thing. Like, Star Wars characters are redeemed all the time. But they have to want it, and they have to realize what they did was wrong, right? In order to get that redemption, to realize that they need to make a change. But there is definitely a good and a bad in Star Wars. And if you don't even know that, then I don't think you're making Star Wars. So, I mean, we'll see what happens, but I don't even know if Acolyte's going to be made. There's so much trouble around the production of that. I mean, the show's being sued because they couldn't pay the one executive that they hired, and then told her, no, you don't get to work on Star Wars. And she was like, okay, well, I passed up a big opportunity for this, so pay me what for what I've worked. And they're like, now we'll give you like nothing. We'll give you like $5,000. And so now they're being sued for that. So if they don't have the money to pay her what they owe her, how do they have the money to make all these episodes and stuff like that? So I'm really interested on what actually is going to happen with the Acolyte, because I feel like it's just going to like disappear. But it might get made. Yeah, we'll see. Anyways, but like that was my thoughts. I was talking about Star Wars. If what you guys think, drop your comments below. Let me know what you think about the overall status of Star Wars. I feel like it's in a bad place. I feel like so many subpar projects and things that really hurt original canon have damaged it a lot. And so I'm always watching the new stuff. I'm always checking it out because I love Star Wars and I'm hoping for something good. And I'm hoping that things will get better. You got to have hope, right? So, I mean, we'll see what happens. Right now, I'm kind of been disenfranchised, disillusioned is more of the word, by what's been going on. So I before I'd always be like, okay, I'm right there to watch it right when it comes out. And now I'll be like, I'll see it tomorrow or the next day, we'll see what happens. But, tell me what you guys think. Looks like that's all the time we have for this video. If you enjoyed today's content, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss a single minute of the fun. Join us in our next Fandom Forum, and we'll talk about something else. And, if you have ideas of what you want to talk about, let me know down in the comments. And that's all for now, folks.